When Michael Jordan discovered his brother Larry was facing eviction and working 3 jobs just to survive, he knew he had to help. But Larry's fierce pride meant any direct offer would be rejected. What happened next became a masterclass in compassion, as the basketball legend orchestrated a secret plan that would not only save his brother, but transform an entire community. This is the untold story of how one quiet act of brotherly love sparked a nationwide movement, proving that sometimes the greatest victories happen far from the spotlight. Michael Jordan pulled his black Mercedes into the curved driveway of his Charlotte mansion. The October sun was setting behind the tall oak trees as he checked his watch, 7:15 p.m. Another long day at the Hornets office was finally over. His phone buzzed just as he stepped out of the car. The caller ID showed a name he hadn't seen in years: Marcus Jackson. "Marcus, is that really you?" Michael answered, surprised to hear from his childhood friend from Wilmington. "Hey, Mike. Yeah, it's me." The voice on the other end sounded hesitant. "Listen, I wouldn't call if it wasn't important." Michael paused at his front door. Something in Marcus's tone made him uneasy. "What's going on?" "It's about Larry," Marcus said. "Your brother." Michael's grip tightened on the phone. "Is he okay? Did something happen?" Well, he's alive and healthy, if that's what you mean." Marcus cleared his throat. "I run a corner store now, down on Market Street. Larry came in today and—" "Mike, I think he's in trouble." Michael sat down on his porch steps, the cool evening air suddenly feeling heavy. "What kind of trouble?" "Financial trouble. Bad." Marcus's voice dropped lower. He was counting out change for a loaf of bread. Had these expired coupons? When I told him they were no good, he just stood there, looking at that bread like it was made of gold. Michael's chest tightened. Larry had always been proud. Too proud to ask for help, even from family. "Did you talk to him?" "Tried to. Offered him the bread for free. But you know Larry. Said he didn't need charity. But Mike, when he was putting his wallet away, something fell out. An eviction notice." "What?" Michael stood up quickly. "Are you sure? I picked it up after he left. It's from Castle Street Apartments. Says he's 3 months behind on rent." Michael ran a hand over his face. Castle Street? That was one of the rougher parts of Wilmington. Why was Larry living there? The last time they'd talked, at their mother's birthday 6 months ago, Larry had seemed fine. He'd laughed, told stories, played with the kids. "Mike, there's more," Marcus continued. "I asked around. Larry's been working 3 jobs. Janitor at the community center, night security at the docks, weekend shifts at Food Lion. Still can't make ends meet." Michael's mind raced back to their childhood. Larry, just 1 year older, teaching him how to dribble on the concrete court their father had built behind their house on Gordon Road. Larry, staying up late to help him practice free throws. Larry, the one who pushed him to try out for the high school team when he didn't make it the first time. "Why didn't he call me?" Michael whispered, more to himself than to Marcus. "You know why?" Marcus replied. "Remember when we were kids? Larry would rather walk 5 miles than ask for a ride. Some things don't change," Michael remembered. Larry had always been the protector, the older brother who took care of everyone else. Even when they were struggling, Larry made sure Michael had basketball shoes that fit, even if it meant wearing his own until they fell apart. "Thanks for calling, Marcus," Michael said. "I'll handle it." "Be careful how you handle it," Marcus warned. Larry's got his pride. Push too hard, and he'll push back harder. After hanging up, Michael sat in the growing darkness, thinking. His mansion suddenly felt too big, too empty. Somewhere in Wilmington, His brother was choosing between food and rent, while Michael had more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. He went inside and headed straight to his study. The walls were covered with photos, championship trophies, famous dunks, celebrity meetings. But he searched for one particular picture, finally finding it in a drawer. It was from 1975. Two boys in matching red shirts, arms around each other's shoulders, basketball between them. Larry's smile was bright, confident. Michael's was shy, looking up at his big brother with pure admiration. Michael touched the photo gently. When had they grown so far apart? Success had taken him to Chicago, to fame, to fortune. But it had also created distance. Phone calls became less frequent. Visits became holidays only. And Larry, stubborn, proud Larry, had quietly faded into the background of Michael's superstar life. He picked up his phone again, almost dialing Larry's number. But Marcus's warning echoed in his mind. This needed a different approach. Michael opened his laptop and searched for Castle Street apartments. The images made him wince. Peeling paint, broken windows, reviews mentioning rats and leaky pipes. This was where his brother lived. He found the eviction notice Marcus had mentioned in his email. The landlord's name was printed at the bottom, Henderson Property Management. 3 months behind meant Larry owed at least $2,400, maybe more with late fees. For Michael, that was pocket change. He could write a check right now and solve everything, but he knew Larry would never accept it. The same pride that made Larry a great soldier, a devoted father, a respected coach, also made him refuse help, especially from his famous younger brother. Michael leaned back in his leather chair, forming a plan. If Larry wouldn't take help directly, he'd have to find another way. A way that preserved his brother's dignity while fixing this mess. His phone buzzed again. This time, it was a text from Marcus. Forgot to mention. Saw Larry's daughter Angela with him. She was wearing shoes with holes. Just thought you should know. That did it. Michael grabbed his car keys. He needed to see this for himself. Charlotte to Wilmington was a 3-hour drive, but he'd make it in 2.5. As he drove through the night, memories flooded back. Larry teaching him to box out bigger players. Larry giving him his first pair of Air Jordans, saying, "These got your name on them, little brother." Larry in his army uniform, proud and strong, while Michael was still finding his way in the NBA. The dashboard clock read 10:45 p.m. when Michael reached Wilmington. He drove past their childhood home on Gordon Road, past the high school where they'd both played, finally turning onto Castle Street. The apartment building looked worse in person. Flickering streetlights cast shadows on cracked sidewalks. A group of men stood on the corner, eyeing his Mercedes suspiciously. Michael parked across the street and waited. The lights were on in apartment 3B, Larry's unit, according to the eviction notice. Through the window, he could see movement. Larry, still awake, probably worried about bills, about Angela, about tomorrow. Just then, a figure approached Larry's door and slipped something underneath before hurrying away. Michael squinted in the darkness. Another notice? A threat? Whatever. It was, Michael knew one thing for certain. His brother needed help, whether he wanted it or not. And Michael Jordan hadn't become a legend by giving up when things got tough. He started the car and drove to the nearest hotel. Tomorrow, the real game would begin. The morning sun streamed through the hotel window as Michael sat on the edge of his bed, holding an old photo album he'd brought from Charlotte. He hadn't slept well, his mind replaying images of Larry counting change for bread. He opened the album to a page marked Summer 1975. There they were, the Jordan boys on the concrete basketball court their father James had built behind their house on Gordon Road. Larry, 13 years old, showing 12-year-old Michael how to do a proper layup. Michael traced his finger over the photo. Larry had been everything to him back then. Coach, protector, and rival all rolled into one. "Keep your elbow in, Mike," Larry's voice echoed in his memory. "And follow through like you're reaching into a cookie jar." Those endless summer days had shaped both of them. While other kids played video games or watched TV, the Jordan brothers lived on that court. Their father's rule was simple: homework first, chores second, then basketball until the streetlights came on. Larry was the star. Then, everybody in Wilmington knew Larry Jordan could play. He was quick, smart, and had a jump shot that made high school coaches drool. Michael was just the skinny younger brother who tagged along. But Larry never made him feel small. When Michael got cut from the varsity team as a sophomore, it was Larry who found him crying behind the gym. "You think I made varsity my first try?" Larry had said, wiping Michael's tears. "Dad cut me from his church league team when I was your age. Said I needed to toughen up." "But you're so good now," Michael had protested. "Because I didn't quit, and neither will you. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., we start training." Michael smiled at the memory. For 6 months, Larry woke up before dawn to practice with him, dribbling drills in the dark, shooting until their arms ached, running suicides until they collapsed on the dewy grass. The next year, Michael not only made varsity, but became a starter. Larry was already in the Army by then, but he'd sent a letter. "Heard you're tearing it up, little brother. Always knew you would." Michael turned the page and found another photo. Larry in his Army uniform, standing proud at his graduation from basic training. Their mother, Dolores, was beaming beside him, while their father, James, tried to hide his tears. Larry had enlisted right after high school, not because he had to, but because he wanted to serve. "Basketball's just a game," he told Michael. "This is about something bigger." Michael had been angry at first. Larry could have played college ball, maybe even gone pro. But as years passed, he understood. Larry had always been about duty, responsibility, taking care of others. It's what made him who he was. The phone beside the bed rang, startling Michael from his memories. It was Marcus. "Mike, you there? I just saw Larry heading to his morning job. He cleans at the community center from 6 to 8 before his shift at Food Lion." "The community center on 3rd Street?" Michael asked, already reaching for his shoes. "Yeah, the George Washington Carver Center. Been working there about a year." Michael hung up and grabbed his keys. The Carver Center was only 10 minutes away. As he drove, more memories surfaced. Larry taking him to that same center for youth league games. Larry volunteering as a referee even though the pay was terrible. Larry always giving back to Wilmington even when he had little to give. The center looked older now, paint peeling. From the walls, basketball court cracked and faded. Michael parked across the street and watched through the windows. There was Larry, pushing a mop across the gym floor, his movements slow and tired. Michael's heart clenched. His brother, the one who'd taught him everything about basketball, now cleaning the very courts where he'd once dominated. It wasn't right. He noticed something else. Larry kept pausing to massage his left shoulder. An injury? Michael made a mental note to find out. After an hour, Larry emerged from the center, changing from his janitor uniform into a Food Lion polo shirt. He got into an old Toyota with a cracked windshield and drove away. Michael followed at a distance, watching as Larry stopped at a small house on Orange Street. An elderly woman came out, and Larry handed her something, Money? Medicine? They talked for a few minutes before Larry hugged her and left. "Still taking care of everyone but yourself," Michael muttered. He tailed Larry to Food Lion, where his brother worked the register with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Customers chatted with him. Kids high-fived him. Everyone seemed to know and love Larry Jordan. But Michael saw the fatigue, the worry lines, the way Larry's hands shook slightly as he counted change. During Larry's lunch break, Michael watched him eat a single sandwich from home while reading a worn basketball coaching manual. Even now, Larry was studying the game, probably for the youth team he coached for free. As the day wore on, Michael's plan began forming. He couldn't just write a check. Larry would tear it up. He couldn't offer Larry a job with the Hornets. Too obvious. It had to be something that felt earned, something that honored Larry's pride while solving his problems. That evening, back at the hotel, Michael spread papers across his bed. Property records, business licenses, community organization reports. He made calls to lawyers, accountants, and old friends in Wilmington. Around midnight, his phone buzzed. A text from his assistant, with a photo attached. "Found this in your father's old files. Thought you should see it." Michael opened the image. It was a letter, handwritten on yellowed paper. His mother's distinctive script filled the page, dated just before she passed away. "Michael, you've achieved more than we ever dreamed. But remember, success means nothing if we forget family. Larry will never ask for help. He's too much like your father, but watch over him. Take care of your brother, like he took care of you. Love, Mom." Michael stared at the letter, tears blurring his vision. His mother had known. She'd seen this coming. He wiped his eyes and looked at the plans scattered across his bed. Tomorrow, he'd put everything in motion. Larry had spent his whole life helping others. It was time someone helped him, whether he liked it or not. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Michael opened it to find a courier with an envelope. "Urgent delivery for Mr. Jordan," the courier said. Michael signed for it and opened the envelope. Inside was a notice from Henderson Property Management. They weren't just evicting Larry. They were planning to demolish the entire building for luxury condos. Every tenant had 30 days to leave. Michael crumpled the paper in his fist. 30 days. He had 30 days to save not just his brother, but an entire community. The game had just gotten bigger. Michael barely slept that night. By 5 a.m., he was already dressed in plain clothes, jeans, a baseball cap, and sunglasses. No one could know Michael Jordan was in Wilmington. He drove to Castle Street and parked a block away from Larry's apartment. The morning was cold, and fog rolled in from the Cape Fear River. Michael pulled his cap lower and waited. At 5:45, Larry emerged from the building, lunch bag in hand. He walked with a slight limp Michael hadn't noticed yesterday. Following at a safe distance, Michael watched his brother head to the community center for his cleaning shift. But Larry didn't go inside right away. He stopped at a small garden beside the building, where an elderly man was struggling with a heavy bag of soil. "Morning, Mr. Williams," Larry called out. "Let me help you with that." "Larry, you're too kind," the old man replied. "But you've got work." "Work can wait 5 minutes," Larry said, lifting the bag easily despite his obvious fatigue. "Where do you want this?" Michael watched as Larry spent 15 minutes helping Mr. Williams plant flowers, making him late for his own job. That was Larry, always putting others first, even when he was drowning. After Larry finally went inside, Michael approached Mr. Williams. "Excuse me, sir. I couldn't help noticing. You know Larry Jordan?" Mr. Williams smiled. "Everyone knows Larry. Best man in this neighborhood. Helps me with this garden every week. Never takes a dime. Says flowers make people happy, and happy people make better communities. Does he ever talk about his own troubles? Michael asked carefully. The old man's smile faded. Larry, don't complain. But I got eyes. See him working 3 jobs, wearing the same shoes for 2 years. His daughter Angela, sweet girl, needs braces. Larry's been saving for months, but then his car broke down. Mr. Williams shook his head. Pride's a funny thing. Makes good men suffer in silence. Michael thanked him and walked back to his car, his mind racing. Braces for Angela, car repairs, rent. The bills were piling up faster than Larry could earn. He spent the morning following Larry's routine. After the community center, Larry rushed to Food Lion for a 6-hour shift. During his lunch break, instead of eating, he tutored a teenage stock boy in math. You gotta pass algebra to stay on the basketball team, Michael overheard Larry telling the boy. Here, let me show you this equation again. The boy, maybe 16, looked frustrated. Why do you care so much, Mr. Jordan? You're just a grocery clerk. Larry smiled gently. I'm not just anything, son. I'm someone who believes in you. Now, try again. Michael felt his throat tighten. Larry had always been a teacher at heart. In another life, with different choices, he could have been coaching college ball, shaping young minds. Instead, he was stocking shelves and mopping floors. After Food Lion, Larry picked up Angela from school. Michael watched from afar as father and daughter walked home, Angela chattering excitedly about her day. Larry listened intently, nodding and asking questions despite his obvious exhaustion. They stopped at a dollar store. Through the window, Michael saw Angela pointing at a pack of colored pencils. Larry checked the price, counted his money, and slowly shook his head. Angela hugged him and said something that made Larry wipe his eyes quickly. Back at the apartment, Michael climbed the fire escape to get a better view. Through the window, he saw their sparse living room, a worn couch, a small TV, basketball, trophies on a shelf. Larry was helping Angela with homework while cooking dinner on a hot plate. Dad, Sarah invited me to her birthday party, Angela said. But I need to bring a present. Larry paused, stirring the pot. When is it? Next Saturday. We'll figure something out, baby. Maybe we can make something special. It's okay, Dad. I told her I might be sick that day. Michael saw Larry's shoulders slump. The pain on his brother's face was unbearable to watch. Later that evening, Larry left for his security job at the docks. Michael followed him to the warehouse district, where Larry spent 6 hours walking the perimeter in the cold, armed with nothing but a flashlight and a whistle. During his break, Larry sat on a crate and pulled out his phone. Michael crept closer and overheard him leaving a voicemail. Hey, Mike, it's Larry. Just calling to say hi. Haven't talked in a while. Everything's good here. Angela's growing like a weed, getting straight A's. Hope you're good too. The Hornets are looking strong this year. Anyway, just wanted to hear your voice. Call when you can. Love you, little brother. Michael checked his phone. He had 17 missed calls from Larry over the past year. He'd been so busy with the team, with business, with his celebrity life, that he'd ignored them all. Just quick texts back. Busy now, talk soon. The shame hit him like a punch to the gut. Around 2 a.m., Larry's shift ended. As he walked to his car, 3 men approached him. Michael tensed, ready to intervene, but Larry knew them. Jordan, we need to talk, the largest man said. Mr. Kowalski wants his money. I told him I'd have it by the end of the month, Larry replied calmly. That was last month. Interest is piling up. You're into him for $5,000 now." Michael's blood ran cold. $5,000? Who was Kowalski? "I'm working on it," Larry said. "Just need more time." The man stepped closer. "Time's running out. Kowalski likes you, Jordan. Says you're honest. But business is business. Pay up, or things get ugly." After they left, Larry sat in his car for a long time, head resting on the steering wheel. Michael wanted to run to him, to fix everything right then. But he knew better. Larry would refuse help and might even skip town to avoid the shame. As Larry finally drove away, Michael noticed something on the ground, a crumpled paper that had fallen from Larry's pocket. He picked it up and smoothed it out under a streetlight. See, was a pawn shop receipt. Larry had pawned his Army medals and his championship ring from high school. The same ring he'd treasured for over 30 years. At the bottom of the receipt was a handwritten note. "Final warning. Account sent to collections. Legal action pending." Michael clutched the paper, rage and sorrow battling in his chest. His brother was drowning in debt, working himself to death, selling his most precious memories, all while maintaining the fiction that everything was fine. The pride that had made Larry a great soldier, a devoted father, and a community pillar was now destroying him. And Michael realized that saving Larry would require more than money. It would require a miracle of the heart. As dawn approached, Michael drove back to his hotel. He had seen enough. Tomorrow, he would set his plan in motion. But first, he had one more person to see. Someone who might hold the key to helping Larry without shattering his pride. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number he hadn't called in years. "Coach Smith? It's Michael Jordan. I need your help." "Michael? Is that really you?" Dean Smith's voice was warm but surprised. The legendary UNC coach rarely heard from his former star player these days. "Yes, Coach. I'm sorry to call so early," Michael said, pacing his hotel room. "I need your help with something delicate." "What's going on, son?" Michael took a deep breath. "It's Larry. He's in trouble, and I need to help him without him knowing it's me." There was a pause. "Tell me everything." For the next 20 minutes, Michael poured out the whole story. The eviction notice, the 3 jobs, the debt to someone named Kowalski, the pawned medals. Coach Smith listened without interrupting. "Larry was always proud," Smith finally said. "Even in high school, when he played for me at basketball camp. Never wanted special treatment for being your brother." "That's the problem, Coach. He'd rather lose everything than ask for help." "Then we don't ask him. We create opportunities he can't refuse. Let me make some calls." After hanging up, Michael called his accountant, Raymond Chen. "Raymond, I need you to dig into someone's finances. Quietly." "Whose finances, Mr. Jordan?" "My brother Larry's. And find out everything you can about a man named Kowalski in Wilmington." While Raymond worked, Michael decided to visit E.E. Smith High School, where both he and Larry had played. He'd heard Larry volunteered there as a basketball coach. The school looked older now, paint faded and windows cracked. Michael found the athletic director, Coach Patricia Williams, in her office. "Can I help you?" she asked, then froze. "Wait, you're just a concerned family member," Michael said quickly. "I heard Larry Jordan coaches here." Coach Williams's face lit up. "Larry's a godsend. Volunteers 20 hours a week, never takes a penny. The kids adore him." "Does he ever mention any problems?" She hesitated. "Larry doesn't complain. But last month, I offered to pay him for coaching. Just a small stipend. He turned it down, said others needed it more." She paused. "Though I did see him limping lately. Think his shoulder's bothering him too." Michael made a mental note about the injury. The kids really like him? Like him? They worship him. Half these boys don't have fathers at home. Larry fills that gap, teaches them about more than basketball, about character, responsibility, pride. Pride. There was that word again. Michael's phone buzzed. Raymond was calling back. "Mr. Jordan, I've got information," Raymond said. "Larry's in deep. 3 mortgages on the apartment, all past due. Medical bills from a work injury, 6 months. AGO, torn rotator cuff. He refused surgery because he couldn't afford time off work." What about Kowalski? Victor Kowalski runs a private lending business, basically a loan shark with a legitimate front. Larry borrowed $2,000 6 months, AGO for car repairs. With interest, it's now over $5,000. Michael's jaw clenched. What else? Larry's been paying his elderly neighbor's prescription costs, Mrs. Elena Rodriguez. She's on a fixed income, can't afford her heart medication. He's been covering it for a year. Of course he has, Michael thought. That's Larry. There's more, Raymond continued. Larry's been donating plasma twice a week for extra cash. And he's signed up for overnight shifts at a warehouse starting next week. If he takes that job, he'll be working 20 hours a day. He'll kill himself, Michael whispered. That's not all. The IRS has a lien on his bank account for back taxes, and Angela's school sent a notice about unpaid lunch fees. Michael closed his eyes. How had it gotten this bad? How had he not noticed? Raymond, I need you to set up a shell company, something that can't be traced back to me. What are you planning? I'm going to buy some property and create a job that Larry can't refuse. After hanging up, Michael drove to Castle Street Apartments. He knocked on the manager's door. "Mrs. Henderson?" he asked when an elderly woman answered. "Yes? I represent an investment group interested in your property." Her eyes narrowed. "Already sold it. Kowalski Development bought the whole block, closing next week." Michael's stomach dropped. Kowalski owned Larry's building? This was worse than he thought. "What if I offered you double?" Michael asked. Mrs. Henderson shook her head. "Contracts signed. Besides, Kowalski's not someone you cross. He's got connections." Michael left frustrated, but determined. He called Coach Smith again. "Coach, Kowalski owns Larry's building. He's the loan shark Larry owes money to." Smith whistled low. "That's bad. Kowalski's got a reputation. We need to be careful. I have an idea, but I need your help to make it look legitimate." That evening, Michael met with 3 people. Marcus Jackson from the corner store, Coach Williams from the high school, and Pastor James Roberts from Larry's church. He swore them all to secrecy. "We're going to create a community sports program," Michael explained. "Something that needs a dedicated director. The salary will be enough to cover all of Larry's debts." "But how do we get him to take it?" Marcus asked. "We make it look like it's coming from the city. Coach Smith has connections with the mayor's office. They'll announce a new initiative to reduce youth crime through sports." Pastor Roberts nodded. "And Larry's the obvious choice. Military background, coaching experience, community trust." "Exactly," Michael said. "But there's one problem, Kowalski. He won't let Larry go easily." "Leave Kowalski to me," said a new voice. Everyone turned. Standing in the doorway was David Thompson, former NBA star and Wilmington native. "Heard you were in town, Mike," Thompson said. "Kowalski and I go way back. He owes me a favor." Michael felt hope for the first time in days. The pieces were falling into place. Late that night, alone in his hotel room, Michael made one final call. "Angela," he said when his niece answered. Larry's phone. "Uncle Mike, is that you?" Yes, sweetheart. Is your dad there? He's at work. He's always at work. Her voice was small, sad. Angela, I need you to do something for me, but it's our secret, okay? Okay. In your dad's desk drawer, there's an old photo album. Can you look inside and tell me if there's a letter there? From your grandma? He heard rustling, then found it. It says, "For Michael," on the envelope. Michael's heart raced. Don't open it. Just put it back. And Angela? Everything's going to be okay soon. I promise. After hanging up, Michael stared out the window at the Wilmington skyline. His mother's letter was real. She'd known this day would come. Tomorrow, he would put the final pieces of his plan in motion. Larry would have his pride, his dignity, and his life back. But first, Michael had to deal with Victor Kowalski, and that would require playing a very dangerous game. The next morning, Michael sat in a conference room at the Wilmington Hilton with his assembled team. Coach Smith had driven down from Chapel Hill, David Thompson had brought city planning documents, and Raymond Chen joined via video call from Charlotte. Here's what we're dealing with, Michael began, spreading papers across the table. Kowalski owns 12 properties in Wilmington's historic district, including Larry's building. He's planning to demolish them all for luxury condos. David Thompson leaned forward. I've known Victor for 20 years. He came here from Ukraine in the 90s, started with a pawn shop, now owns half the waterfront. He's smart, ruthless, but he respects power. What kind of power? Coach Smith asked. Money, influence, celebrity. Thompson looked at Michael. He's a huge basketball fan. Has a signed poster of you in his office? Michael nodded slowly. We can use that. But first, let's talk about the community center plan. Raymond's voice came through the speaker. I've set up the shell company, Carolina Community Sports Foundation. It's registered in Delaware. No direct ties to you, Mr. Jordan. Good. Now, Coach Smith, what did the mayor say? Smith smiled. Mayor Peterson loves the idea. Wilmington's been looking for ways to reduce youth crime. A sports program run by a military veteran like Larry is perfect. They're willing to provide the old warehouse on Water Street. That's in Kowalski's territory, Thompson warned. Exactly, Michael said. We're going to make him an offer he can't refuse. He outlined his plan. The foundation would approach Kowalski with a proposal to buy not just Larry's building, but 3 others on the block. They'd offer market value plus 20%, enough to make Kowalski interested, but not suspicious. But here's the key, Michael continued. We'll insist that current tenants get first option on the renovated apartments at locked-in rents for 5 years. Kowalski keeps his profit. Residents keep their homes. He'll never go for it, Thompson said. He will if the right person asks. Michael picked up his phone. Time to make a call. He dialed a number from memory. Commissioner Silver? It's Michael Jordan. I need a favor. 20 minutes later, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver had agreed to help. He would call Kowalski, mentioning that the league was interested in community development, projects in smaller markets. A successful program in Wilmington could be a model for the entire NBA. Kowalski will eat that up, Thompson said. He's always wanted legitimate recognition. With the property deal in motion, Michael turned to the community center itself. We need to make the director position so perfect for Larry that he can't turn it down. They crafted the job description carefully. Director of Youth Athletics and Community Development. Salary, $75,000 plus benefits. Requirements: military background, coaching experience, community ties. It was Larry in everything but name. What about the interview process? Coach Smith asked. Larry will smell a setup. We make it real, Michael said. 3 other candidates, full panel interview, but we stack the panel with people who know Larry's value. They spent the next hour fine-tuning. Details. The center would offer basketball, soccer, and tutoring. There'd be a food bank and free legal clinic, everything Larry cared about under one roof. As the meeting wrapped up, Michael's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Mr. Jordan? A heavily accented voice said. This is Victor Kowalski. I understand you're interested in some of my properties. Michael's heart raced, but he kept his voice steady. Mr. Kowalski, I represent a foundation looking to invest in Wilmington. So I hear. Commissioner Silver speaks highly of your project. Perhaps we should meet? I'd like that. How about tomorrow? Tonight, my office. 8 p.m. Come alone. The line went dead. Thompson grabbed Michael's arm. Don't go. Kowalski's testing. You. I have to. This is for Larry. That evening, Michael dressed carefully. Expensive suit, gold watch, everything that screamed success. He arrived at Kowalski's office, a converted mansion near the river. Kowalski was not what Michael expected. 60-ish, silver hair, elegant suit. He looked more like a banker than a loan shark. Mr. Jordan, Kowalski smiled, shaking his hand. I'm honored. Please, sit. The office walls were covered with basketball memorabilia. The promised poster of Michael hung prominently behind the desk. I understand you want to buy some buildings, Kowalski said, pouring whiskey. We're interested in community development, Michael replied carefully. Kowalski studied him. And this has nothing to do with your brother owing me money. Michael froze. Kowalski knew. Relax, Kowalski waved his hand. I've known who you were since you arrived. Did you think I wouldn't notice Michael Jordan following Larry around town? Then you know why I'm here. I do, and I respect it. Family is everything. Kowalski sipped his drink. Your brother is a good man. Too good, perhaps. He borrows money not for himself, but to help others. The old woman's medicine, the teenager's basketball camp fees, the single mother's car repair. Michael listened, surprised by Kowalski's tone. I'm a businessman, Mr. Jordan, not a monster. I offered Larry reasonable terms. He's the one who insisted on paying interest, on treating it like a formal loan. Will you sell the buildings? Kowalski smiled. I'll do better. I'll sell them at cost, forgive Larry's debt, and donate $100,000 to your community center. Michael's eyes narrowed. What's the catch? No catch, just a request. Kowalski pulled out a youth basketball jersey. My grandson plays for Hoggard High School. If you could sign this, maybe visit his team someday. Michael almost laughed. The fearsome loan shark wanted an autograph for his grandson. Deal, Michael said, signing the jersey. But I have one condition. The job offer to Larry has to look completely legitimate. He can never know I was involved. Agreed. I'll have my people call tomorrow about selling the properties. Kowalski raised his glass. To family. To family, Michael echoed. Driving back to the hotel, Michael felt lighter than he had in days. The biggest obstacle was gone. Now came the hard part, convincing Larry to take the job. His phone rang. It was Angela. Uncle Mike? Something's wrong. Dad came home early from work. He's just sitting in the dark, holding some papers. What kind of papers? I don't know. But he's crying. I've never seen Dad cry before. Michael floored the accelerator. I'm on my way. As he raced toward Castle Street, Michael realized the timeline had moved up. Whatever those papers were, They'd pushed Larry to his breaking point. The game wasn't over. It was just entering the fourth quarter. Michael's tires screeched as he pulled up to Castle Street Apartments. He took the stairs 2 at a time, his heart pounding. Through the thin walls, he could hear Angela's voice. "Dad, please talk to me." "What's wrong?" Michael pressed his ear to the door. He heard Larry's broken voice. "I failed you, baby. I failed everyone." Unable to wait any longer, Michael knocked. "Larry?" "It's me, Mike." Silence. Then shuffling footsteps. The door opened a crack, revealing Larry's tear-stained face. "Mike? What are you doing here?" "Let me in, Larry. Please." Larry hesitated, then opened the door wider. The apartment was dark except for a single lamp. On the coffee table lay a stack of papers, foreclosure notices, medical bills, and a letter from Angela's school about unpaid fees. "Angela, honey," Michael said gently, "could you give us a minute?" Angela hugged her father tight before retreating to her room. Once she was gone, Larry slumped onto the couch. "How did you know I was in trouble?" Larry asked. Michael sat beside him. "Marcus called me, told me about the eviction notice." Larry's hands clenched. "I didn't want you to know. Didn't want anyone to know." "Why, Larry? I'm your brother." "Because you're Michael Jordan!" Larry exploded, jumping up. "You're the greatest basketball player ever. You own a team, have mansions, fly in private jets, and I'm nothing. Can't even keep a roof over my daughter's head." "Don't say that," Michael said firmly. "You're not nothing. You're the man who taught me everything." Larry laughed bitterly. "Taught you? Mike, you surpassed me before you were 16. I was supposed to be the basketball star, remember? Instead, I'm mopping floors while my little brother buys basketball teams." Michael stood and grabbed Larry's shoulders. "Listen to me. You chose to serve our country. You chose to be a father. You chose to help everyone in this community before yourself. That's not nothing. That's everything." Larry pulled away. "Noble. Choices don't pay bills, Mike. Tonight, they shut off our power. Tomorrow, we're on the street. And Angela," his voice broke, "she deserves better. Then let me help." "No!" Larry shouted. "I won't be your charity case." Michael's phone buzzed. It was David Thompson. Urgent. Kowalski's men just delivered something to Larry's building. Big envelope. Michael frowned. What was Kowalski up to? A knock at the door interrupted them. Larry opened it to find his landlord, Mrs. Henderson, holding a large manila envelope. "This just came for you," she said. "From Kowalski Development." Larry's face went pale as he opened it. Inside was a check for $10,000 and a note. "Debt forgiven. Good luck with your new position." "VK. What new position?" Larry muttered, pulling out another document. It was a job offer from the Carolina Community Sports Foundation. Director of Youth Athletics. Starting salary, $75,000. "I don't understand," Larry said. "I never applied for this." Michael pretended to read over his shoulder. "Looks legitimate. Says they've been watching your volunteer work, your coaching. They want you to run a new community center. But the timing, it's too convenient." Before Michael could respond, Larry's phone rang. It was Mayor Peterson. "Mr. Jordan, this is Mayor Peterson. Congratulations on your new position. The City Council is thrilled to have you leading our youth initiative. Can you start Monday?" Larry stammered. I haven't even interviewed." "No need," the mayor said. "Your reputation speaks for itself. The foundation board voted unanimously. We've been looking for someone like you for months. After hanging up, Larry stared at the phone, then at the check, then at Michael. Did you do this? Michael met his brother's eyes. Larry, I've been in Charlotte running a basketball team. How could I arrange all this? Larry studied him for a long moment. Swear to me, Mike. Swear this isn't your doing. Michael chose his words carefully. I swear I didn't create this job or pay off your debt. Technically true. The foundation and Kowalski had done those things. Larry's shoulders sagged. $75,000 a year. Benefits. Housing allowance. He looked around the shabby apartment. We could move somewhere safe. Angela could have her own room. Maybe even save for college. Sounds like a dream come true, Michael said softly. It does. Larry wiped his eyes. But why me? There are dozens of qualified people? Because you care, Michael said. Every kid in this neighborhood knows you, trusts you. You've been doing the job for free for years. Now you'll get paid for it. Larry walked to Angela's door and opened it. She was pretending to sleep, but clearly listening. Angel, pack your things. We're moving. Angela shot up. Really, Dad? Really? Your dad got a new job. A good job. Angela flew into Larry's arms, and Michael felt tears sting his eyes. This was what it was all about. Giving Larry back his dignity, his purpose, his ability to provide. Later that night, after helping Larry and Angela pack their essentials, Michael stepped outside to make a call. It's done, he told David Thompson. He accepted the position. There's more, Thompson said. Kowalski just called. He's not just selling the buildings, he's donating them to the foundation. Says it's a tax write-off, but I think your visit changed him. Michael smiled. Sometimes the toughest opponents became the strongest allies. Back in the apartment, he found Larry on the balcony, looking at the stars. Remember when Dad built that basketball court? Larry asked. Every day, Michael replied. He said it wasn't about basketball. It was about giving us something to work for, something to be proud of. Larry turned to face him. I lost that somewhere along the way. Got so focused on surviving, I forgot about living. You never lost it, Michael said. You just gave it to everyone else. The kids you coach, the neighbors you help. Angela. Now it's your turn. Larry nodded slowly. This job, it feels like destiny. Like everything I've been through prepared me for this. If you only knew, Michael thought. As they stood in comfortable silence, Larry's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Congratulations on the new position. Your mother would be proud. A friend, Larry showed it to Michael, confused. Who would send this? Michael kept his face neutral, though he recognized Coach Smith's handiwork. Someone who knows you deserve this chance. The next morning, as Larry and Angela prepared to move to temporary housing provided by the foundation, Michael watched from his car. His brother stood taller, smiled wider, moved with purpose again. Michael's phone rang. It was his assistant. From Charlotte. Mr. Jordan? The media found out about the community center. They want to know if you're involved. Michael glanced at Larry, who was laughing with Angela as they loaded boxes. Tell them I know nothing about it. This is a local Wilmington initiative. But sir, if people knew what you did, they don't need to know. Some victories are sweeter when they're silent. As he drove away, Michael felt his mother's presence. He'd kept his promise. Larry would never know about the late-night meetings, the shell company, the carefully orchestrated plan. He'd simply believe that sometimes good things happen to good people. But as Michael reached the city limits, his phone buzzed with a text from Larry. Mike, Wait, there's something you need to see at Mom and Dad's old house. Meet me there in an hour." Michael's heart skipped. What had Larry discovered? Michael drove slowly down Gordon Road, his palms sweating on the steering wheel. His parents' old house stood at the end of the street. Its white paint faded, but the basketball court in the backyard still visible. Larry's car was already in the driveway. As Michael parked, he saw his brother waiting on the front porch, holding a cardboard box. "Found this in the attic," Larry said as Michael approached. "Mrs. Washington next door called me. Said she's been keeping an eye on the house. Saw some people coming and going the past few days." Michael's stomach tightened. Had someone spotted him during his investigation? Larry opened the box. Inside were stacks of papers, photos, and newspaper clippings. "Look at this," he said, pulling out a folder labeled Community Guardian Angel. The folder contained dozens of stories, anonymous donations to local families, mysterious scholarships for Wilmington students, failing businesses suddenly, saved by unnamed investors, all spanning the past 20 years. "What is this?" Michael asked, though he recognized some of the stories. He'd quietly helped many of these people over the years. "That's what I thought you'd ask," Larry said, watching him carefully. "But then, I found this." He pulled out a photo from 1995. It showed Michael at a community center opening, standing in the background while local officials cut the ribbon. Michael remembered that day. He'd anonymously funded the center's renovation. "You've been doing this for years, haven't you?" Larry asked softly. "Helping people without taking credit." Michael stayed silent, neither confirming nor denying. "Mrs. Washington told me something interesting," Larry continued. "Said she saw a man who looked just like you talking to Pastor Roberts last week, and Marcus at the corner store mentioned a concerned family member, asking about me." Michael sighed. "Larry, Wait." Larry held up his hand. "There's more." He pulled out a receipt from the box. "This is from Henderson Property Management, dated yesterday. Full payment for all back rent on my apartment, paid by the Carolina Community Sports Foundation." Michael's carefully constructed plan was unraveling. "I called Coach Smith this morning," Larry said. "He tried to deny everything, but I know his tell from when he used to recruit us. He was lying." Larry sat down on the porch steps, gesturing for Michael to join him. "I spent all morning putting pieces together. The foundation that hired me was registered last week. Kowalski suddenly forgives my debt right after your scene in town. The mayor calls me personally about a job that seems tailor-made for my experience." Michael sat beside his brother, unsure what to say. "But here's what really gave it away," Larry continued. He pulled out his phone and showed Michael a photo. It was a security camera image from Kowalski's office building, showing Michael entering the night before. "Kowalski sent this to me an hour ago with a message. Your brother is a good man. Take the gift he's offering." Michael dropped his head into his hands. "I'm sorry, Larry. I just wanted to help." To his surprise, Larry laughed. "Sorry? Mike, do you know what I realized when I figured this out?" Michael looked up, confused. "I realized that half this town was in on it. Marcus, Coach Williams, Pastor Roberts, even David Thompson. They all knew, and they all helped because they wanted to see me succeed." Larry's eyes were wet. "I've spent so long feeling like a failure that I couldn't see how many people actually care." "You're not mad?" "Mad? I'm—" Larry paused, searching for words. "I'm humbled and a little embarrassed that my pride made all this necessary." A car pulled up, and Angela jumped out, followed by Mrs. Rodriguez, the elderly neighbor Larry had been helping. "We have something to show you," Angela announced, pulling both men toward the backyard. There, On the old basketball court stood dozens of people. Larry's co-workers from all 3 jobs, kids he'd coached, neighbors he'd helped, community members whose lives he'd touched. They held a banner that read, "Thank you, Coach Larry." Marcus stepped forward. "We all knew what Michael was doing, Larry. And we all wanted to help because you've spent years helping us." One by one, people shared stories. The teenager Larry, tutored who got into college. The single mother whose car he fixed for free. The youth basketball team he coached to their first championship. Michael watched his brother's face transform from surprise to understanding to joy. "You did all this?" Larry asked Michael. "No," Michael replied. "You did. I just gave them a way to give back." Pastor Roberts stepped forward. "Larry, this community center isn't just a job. It's our way of saying thank you for everything you've done. No more working 3 jobs. No more choosing between bills and food. It's time for you to receive what you've been giving." Larry wiped his eyes, then turned to Michael. "Why didn't you just tell me?" "Because you wouldn't have taken it. You had to believe you earned it." Michael smiled. "And you did earn it, Larry. Every day for the past 30 years. Angela tugged at Larry's sleeve. "There's one more surprise. Dad?" She led them to the corner of the yard where their father had built a storage shed. Inside, wrapped in protective cloth, was Larry's high school championship trophy and his Army medals. "How did you—" Larry started. "Mr. Kowalski," Angela explained. "He bought them back from the pawn shop and had them restored." Larry held his medals, tears flowing freely now. "I pawned these to pay for your school supplies." "I know, Dad, but Uncle Mike made sure we got them back." The crowd began to disperse, giving the brothers privacy. As the sun set over their childhood home, Larry and Michael sat on the old court, a basketball between them. "Remember what Dad used to say?" Larry asked. "About how the best assists are the ones nobody sees?" Michael nodded. "He said that's what family does, set each other up for success without needing credit." "Took me a while to understand that," Larry admitted. "I was so focused on being the provider, the protector, that I forgot it's okay to need help sometimes." "We all need help, Larry. Even me." Larry raised an eyebrow. "You? What help do you need?" Michael smiled. "I need my big brother back, the one who taught me that winning isn't about points or trophies, it's about lifting others up." They sat in comfortable silence until Angela called out, "Hey, are you two going to play, or just talk all day?" Larry grinned, picking up the ball. "What do you say, Mike? One more game?" "You're on," Michael replied. "But fair warning, I've improved since we were kids." "We'll see about that," Larry laughed, dribbling toward the hoop. As they played, Michael realized this wasn't the end of the story. It was a new beginning. The community center would open next month, and Larry would transform countless lives. But more importantly, 2 brothers had found their way back to each other. The game ended with Larry hitting a perfect jump shot, just like old times. As they walked off the court, arms around each other's shoulders, Michael's phone buzzed with a message from his assistant. "The community center story has gone national. ESPN wants an interview." Michael showed it to Larry. "What should I tell them?" Larry thought for a moment. "Tell them the truth. That sometimes the greatest victories happen off the court, and that family is always worth fighting for." As they headed inside their childhood home, neither brother noticed the young reporter from the Wilmington Star watching from across the street, camera in hand. Sarah Martinez had just captured the photo that would soon inspire millions. Michael Jordan and his brother, laughing together on the court where it all began. Sarah Martinez rushed back to her small office at the Wilmington Star, her hands shaking with excitement. The photo on her camera was pure gold. Michael Jordan and his brother Larry, embracing on their childhood basketball court, both men's eyes glistening with tears. She'd been following a tip about mysterious renovations at the old Jordan house when she stumbled upon the gathering. Now, she had the story of a lifetime. Meanwhile, Larry and Michael sat in their parents' old kitchen, sharing a pizza like they used to as kids. "I still can't believe you bought back my medals," Larry said, fingering the bronze star he'd earned in Iraq. "Kowalski bought them, actually," Michael corrected. "Turns out he has a soft spot for veterans." Larry's phone buzzed. It was an email from the foundation. "Director Jordan, please review the attached plans for the James R. Jordan Community Center. Groundbreaking ceremony scheduled for next Saturday." "They named it after Dad?" Larry's voice cracked. Michael nodded. "Seemed right. He's the one who taught us that helping others matters more than personal glory." As they talked, Sarah Martinez was writing furiously. Her editor, Tom Bradley, peered over her shoulder. "This is huge, Sarah, but we need to verify everything before we publish." "I've got sources," Sarah said. Mrs. Washington confirmed seeing Michael in town. "The property records show the foundation's purchases. And look at this." She pulled up a document on her computer. The foundation's board includes Dean Smith and David Thompson. Tom whistled. Michael Jordan secretly saves his brother from homelessness, rallies entire community, creates jobs program. This isn't just local news, this is national. The next morning, Larry arrived at the future community center site on Water Street. Construction crews were already working, transforming the old warehouse. A sign read, "Future Home of the James R. Jordan Community Center, opening December 2024. Mayor Peterson greeted him warmly. "Ready for your first day, Director Jordan?" Larry smiled. More than ready. As they toured the facility, Larry's phone kept buzzing with messages. Former players he'd coached, neighbors he'd helped, all congratulating him. The community grapevine was working overtime. Michael, back in Charlotte, was in a meeting when his publicist burst in. "We have a situation," she said, showing him her tablet. The Wilmington Star's website blazed with the headline, "Air Jordan's Secret Mission: How Michael Jordan Saved His Brother and a Community." Michael read quickly. Sarah Martinez had done her homework. The article detailed everything: Larry's struggles, Michael's covert operation, the community's involvement, and the creation of the foundation. But it wasn't just an exposé. It was a celebration of brotherhood, community, and quiet generosity. The story ended with a quote from Mrs. Rodriguez. "Larry Jordan spent years helping everyone else while he suffered in silence. His brother didn't. Just save him. He showed us all what family really means." Within hours, the story went viral. CNN, ESPN, and major newspapers picked it up. Social media exploded with Ramadan Brothers Keeper and Jordan Family hashtags. In Wilmington, Larry was overwhelmed by the attention. Reporters surrounded the community center site. "Mr. Jordan, how does it feel to know your brother orchestrated all this?" Larry paused, choosing his words carefully. "Humbled, grateful, but not surprised. That's who Michael is. Not just the basketball legend, but the brother who never forgot where he came from. Are you angry he kept it secret?" "No," Larry smiled. "He knew my pride would get in the way. Sometimes love means knowing when to help quietly." That evening, Michael called Larry. "I'm sorry the story broke," Michael said. "I know you value your privacy." "Don't be," Larry replied. Maybe this is what was supposed to happen. People need to see that even legends have regular family struggles, that it's okay to need help. The Foundation's phone is ringing off the hook, Michael added. Donations are pouring in. People want to help expand the program to other cities. Larry was quiet for a moment. You know what this means, right? What? We can't stop at Wilmington. There are Larry Jordans in every city. Good people too proud to ask for help. We need to find them. Michael grinned. Already thinking like a director. I like it. The next Saturday, the groundbreaking ceremony drew hundreds. Michael flew in, this time publicly. As the brothers stood together, shovels in hand, Larry leaned over. Remember when Dad made us dig the holes for our basketball court? Michael laughed. Took us all day. Our hands were covered in blisters. He said anything worth having is worth working for, Larry recalled. He also said the work isn't done when you succeed, Michael added. It's done when you help others succeed too. They broke ground together as cameras flashed. In the crowd, Sarah Martinez smiled, knowing her story had started something bigger than she'd imagined. That night, in Larry's new apartment, provided by the Foundation, Angela showed her father something on her tablet. Look, Dad, you're trending on Twitter. The screen showed thousands of messages. People sharing stories of siblings helping siblings, communities coming together, pride giving way to love. One message stood out. My brother's struggling like Larry was. Because of this story, I'm driving to see him tomorrow. Thank you, Jumpman 23, for showing us how it's done. Larry wiped his eyes. This is bigger than us now, isn't it? Angela hugged him. It always was, Dad. Uncle Mike just helped everyone see it. As word spread, more revelations emerged. The high school student Larry tutored had written to Michael months ago, begging him to help. The security company where Larry worked nights had alerted Michael to Larry's exhaustion. Even Kowalski admitted he'd been waiting for someone to intervene. The story took on a life of its own. The Jordan Brothers Foundation was officially launched, dedicated to helping proud, hard-working people who'd fallen on hard times. The tagline, because everyone needs an assist sometimes. In the following weeks, Larry threw himself into his new role. The community center became a beacon of hope. Basketball courts filled with kids, tutoring rooms buzzed with activity, and the food bank served hundreds of families. One evening, as Larry locked up the center, he found Michael waiting outside. Thought you were in Charlotte, Larry said. Had to check on my investment, Michael joked. Then, seriously, actually, I came to give you something. He handed Larry an envelope. Inside was a letter, yellowed with age. Mom wrote this before she died, Michael explained. Made me promise to give it to you when the time was right. Larry opened it with trembling hands. My dear Larry, if you're reading this, it means Michael finally found a way to help you without hurting your pride. I know you, son. You're just like your father. Strong, proud, always putting others first. But strength isn't just about giving. It's about knowing when to receive. You gave Michael his first basketball, his first lesson in perseverance, his first example of what a good man looks like. Without you, there would be no Air Jordan. Now it's your turn to fly. Love always. Mom. Larry clutched the letter to his chest, tears flowing freely. Michael put his arm around his brother. She knew, Larry whispered. She always did, Michael replied. She made me promise to watch over you, but she knew I'd have to be sneaky about it. As they stood there, the security lights of the James R. Jordan Community Center flickered on, illuminating the sign that would soon inspire a movement. Everyone needs an assist sometimes. The grand opening of the James R. Jordan Community Center drew a crowd of thousands. News vans lined Water Street, and people came from across North Carolina to witness the culmination of a story that had captured America's heart. Larry stood at the entrance, greeting each person by name. He wore a crisp, blue suit, his first new one in years, with his bronze star pinned proudly on the lapel. Beside him, Angela beamed in a yellow dress, no longer the worried child who'd called her uncle in desperation just months ago. Michael arrived quietly through the back entrance, wanting Larry to have the spotlight. But as he watched his brother interact with the community, he felt a tap on his shoulder. "We need to talk," Larry said, his expression serious. They stepped into Larry's new office, where a single framed photo sat on the desk. Their family at the old basketball court, all smiles and dreams. "I know what you did," Larry began. "All of it." Michael tensed, ready to explain again, but Larry held up his hand. "No, I mean, I know everything." Larry pulled out a thick folder. The shell companies, the late-night meetings, the 50 other families you've helped over the years without anyone knowing. Michael sat down heavily. "How did you—" Sarah Martinez. She kept digging after her article. Found a pattern going back decades. Anonymous donors, mysterious benefactors, problems solving themselves just when families hit rock bottom. Larry's eyes were wet. "You've been doing this since your first NBA paycheck, haven't you?" Michael nodded slowly. "Dad always said, 'To whom much is given, much is required.' I never wanted the attention. The help should be about the people receiving it, not the one giving it." Larry walked around the desk and pulled Michael into a fierce hug. "You stubborn fool. All these years, I thought success had changed you. Thought you'd forgotten where you came from. But you were here all along, just working in the shadows." "Like you," Michael replied, "helping everyone but yourself." They held each other for a long moment, 30 years of misunderstanding melting away. "I have something to show you," Larry said finally, leading Michael to the gymnasium. The room erupted in applause as they entered, but Michael stopped short when he saw the wall behind the main basketball court. There, in 10-foot letters, were the words, "The Jordan Brothers Court." "The community voted," Larry explained. "Said both our names belong up there." Mayor Peterson stepped forward with a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're here not just to open a building, but to celebrate what happens when family looks out for family, when community supports community." As the mayor spoke, Michael noticed something in the crowd. Dozens of people wearing T-shirts that read, "I got an assist." Larry caught his confused look. "They're all people you've helped over the years," Larry whispered. Sarah's article inspired them to come forward. No names, no details, just showing solidarity. Michael scanned the crowd, recognizing faces. The single mother whose mortgage he'd secretly paid, the veteran whose medical bills disappeared overnight, the teenager whose mysterious scholarship changed her life. "They're not here for recognition," Larry continued. "They're here to pay it forward. Each one has pledged to help someone else in need." The mayor concluded his speech and handed the microphone to Larry. "Thank you all for coming," Larry began, his voice steady. "This center isn't about me or my brother. It's about what happens when we remember that we're all family. When we stop letting pride prevent us from helping or being helped." He paused, looking at Michael. "My brother taught me something important. Not through his fame or his fortune, but through his heart. He showed me that true greatness isn't measured in points scored or trophies won. It's measured in lives touched, in dignity preserved, in hope restored." The crowd applauded, But Larry wasn't finished. So today, I'm announcing that this center is just the beginning. The Jordan Brothers Foundation will expand to 10 cities next year, focusing on helping proud, hardworking people who've hit hard times. Because everyone needs an assist sometimes, the crowd finished in unison. As the ribbon-cutting ceremony proceeded, Michael and Larry stood side by side, scissors in hand. Just before they cut, Larry leaned over. "Want to play one-on-one after this? For old time's sake?" Michael grinned. "You're on, but fair warning, I might let you win this time." "Let me win?" Larry laughed. "Brother, I've got news for you." They cut the ribbon together as cameras flashed, and the crowd cheered. Then, true to their word, they changed into basketball gear and met on the court that bore their names. The game was less about competition and more about joy. They played like kids again, laughing at missed shots, celebrating made ones. The crowd watched in delight as two brothers found their way back to the simple pleasure that had started it all. As the sun set, Michael made a shot from the corner, the same spot where Larry had taught him to shoot 35 years ago. Larry rebounded and held the ball. "Remember what Dad used to say about this spot?" Larry asked. "That's where legends are made," Michael quoted. "He was right," Larry said, "but not about basketball. This is where you learned that helping others matters more than helping yourself. Where I learned that accepting help doesn't make you weak. It makes you family." They walked off the court arm in arm, past the cheering crowd, past the cameras, past Sarah Martinez, who was wiping tears as she typed her follow-up story. Later that evening, at a private family dinner, Michael stood to make a toast. "To Larry," he said, raising his glass, "who taught me that being a big brother isn't about age, it's about showing up when it matters. Who showed me that true pride isn't about never falling, it's about how you rise, and who reminded me that the best assists are the ones that help others score." Larry stood too. To Michael, who proved that real champions aren't made in stadiums, they're made in moments like these. Who showed me that wealth isn't measured in dollars, it's measured in the lives you change. And who kept Mom's promise in the most beautiful way possible. As they clinked glasses, Angela spoke up. "So what happens now?" Michael and Larry exchanged glances, then smiled. "Now," Michael said, "now we get to work. There are thousands of Larry Jordans out there, too proud to ask for help. Thousands of communities waiting for someone to believe in them. And we're going to find them," Larry added, "one assist at a time." Outside, the lights of the James R. Jordan Community Center glowed against the Wilmington sky. Inside, two brothers had begun a new game, one with no scoreboard, no time limit, and no end to the possibilities. As the family celebrated, Michael's C2 phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "I'm facing eviction and saw your story. Too ashamed to ask for help, but desperate. Can you assist?" Michael showed it to Larry, who smiled. "Looks like our next play is already in motion." Larry said, "Together?" Michael asked. "Together," Larry confirmed. And somewhere, their parents smiled, knowing their boys had finally understood what they'd tried to teach them all along. That the greatest victories in life aren't won alone. They're shared with those you love. Turkey. Months after the community center opened, Sarah Martinez sat in her new office at ESPN, working on a follow-up documentary. Her original article had won a Pulitzer Prize, but more importantly, it had sparked a nationwide movement. On her desk lay folders from across America, stories of siblings helping siblings, communities rallying around struggling families, proud people learning to accept help. The Jordan brothers' story had become a blueprint for compassion. In Wilmington, the James R. Jordan Community Center bustled with activity. Larry walked through the halls, checking on the after-school program, the job training center, and the food bank. Each section hummed with purpose. "Mr. Jordan," called Maria Gonzalez, the tutoring coordinator. "You need to see this." She led him to a classroom where Angela was helping younger students with math. His daughter had become a volunteer tutor, inspired by watching her father. "She's here every day after school," Maria whispered. "Says she wants to give back like you taught her." Larry's chest swelled with pride. The cycle of helping had come full circle. Meanwhile, in Chicago, Michael addressed a packed auditorium of business leaders. The Jordan Brothers Foundation had grown beyond their wildest dreams, with chapters in 20 cities and corporate sponsors lining up to contribute. "We've helped over 5,000 families this year," Michael announced. "Not with handouts, but with opportunities, job training, education, housing assistance, giving people the tools to rebuild their lives." After his speech, a familiar face approached. Victor Kowalski. "Mr. Jordan," Kowalski smiled. "I wanted to thank you." "Thank me? For what?" "For showing me a better way to use my resources. I've converted all my payday loan businesses into micro-lending programs with fair rates. Your brother helps oversee them." Michael shook his hand warmly. Sometimes the toughest opponents become the strongest allies. Back in Wilmington, Larry received a special delivery, a framed letter from the White House. The president had heard their story and wanted to model a national initiative after their foundation. "Can you believe this?" Larry called Michael. "They want us to testify before Congress about helping working families." "I believe it," Michael replied. "Remember what Mom used to say? Start where you are, use what you have, do what you can." And look where it led, Larry marveled. That evening, ESPN aired Sarah's documentary, The Assist: How Two Brothers Changed America. It featured interviews with families they'd helped, community leaders, and childhood friends. The most powerful moment came when Sarah revealed something she'd discovered in her research: their mother's diary from 1975. She read an entry aloud. "Today, I watched my boys play basketball for hours. Michael looks up to Larry like he hung the moon. Larry protects Michael like he's made of gold. They compete fiercely, but love deeper. I pray they never lose that bond. The world will try to pull them apart. Success, pride, distance. But if they remember that they're stronger together, they can change lives." The camera cut to Michael and Larry watching the documentary together, both wiping away tears. "She knew," Larry whispered. "Mothers always do," Michael replied. The documentary ended with statistics. 5,000 families helped, 200 community centers planned, $500 million raised for the foundation, but the final image was simple. Two brothers shooting hoops on their childhood court, laughing like kids again. As the credits rolled, social media exploded. Assist movement trended worldwide. People shared their own stories of helping family, members of overcoming pride, of community support. The next morning, Larry found a crowd gathered outside the center. People had driven from neighboring states, bringing donations, offering to volunteer, wanting to be part of something bigger than themselves. Among them was a young man who approached Larry nervously. "Mr. Jordan? I'm Tommy Wilson. I'm struggling, like you were. 3 jobs. Can't make rent. Too proud to tell my family." He swallowed hard. "Your story gave me courage to ask for help." Larry embraced him. "That's what this is all about, son. Come inside. Let's figure this out together." As Tommy followed Larry into the center, a text arrived on Larry's phone from Michael. "Just got off the phone with Nike. They're creating a new program, Assist Initiative, funding community centers in underserved areas. They want our foundation to oversee it." Larry smiled and replied, "Remember when our biggest dream was to play in the NBA?" Michael's response came quickly. "This is better." A year later, at the annual Jordan Brothers Foundation Gala, Larry took the stage to announce their latest milestone. 100 community centers across America, 50,000 families helped, and a network of over 10,000 volunteers. "But numbers don't tell the real story," Larry said. "The real story is Tommy Wilson, who came to us broke and ashamed, now managing one of our centers in Detroit. It's Maria Santiago, who went from food bank recipient to running our job training program. It's communities remembering that we rise by lifting others." Michael joined him on stage. "When this started, I was just trying to help my brother. I had no idea it would become this. But that's how change happens. One person, one family, one community at a time." In the audience, Sarah Martinez prepared her final article on the Jordan brothers. She'd followed their journey from a secret mission to a national movement. Her closing paragraph read, "The Jordan legacy was once defined by basketball championships and iconic sneakers. Today, it's defined by something far more valuable: proof that love, humility, and community can transform lives." Michael Jordan didn't just save his brother from eviction. He reminded America that we're all family, and everyone needs an assist sometimes. As the gala ended, Michael and Larry stood on the balcony, looking out over the city lights. "Think Mom and Dad would be proud?" Larry asked. Michael pulled out their mother's letter, now framed and hanging in every Jordan Brothers Foundation center. He read the final line aloud. "Remember, boys, the strongest muscle in the body is the heart. Use yours well." "We did okay," Michael said softly. "We did better than okay," Larry corrected. "We learned the secret." "What secret?" Larry smiled. "That the greatest plays aren't made on courts or fields. They're made in moments of kindness, in choosing family over pride, in helping others rise. We didn't just change our story, Mike. We helped others rewrite theirs." As if on cue, both their phones buzzed with new messages. More people reaching out, more lives to touch, more assists to make. The brothers looked at each other and laughed. Their game wasn't over. It was just beginning. And across America, in living rooms and community centers, in churches and schools, people remembered the lesson two brothers taught a nation: that true greatness isn't measured by what you achieve alone, but by how many others you lift up along the way. The final image America would remember wasn't of Michael Jordan soaring through the air for a dunk, but of two brothers, arms around each other's shoulders, walking toward the next person who needed help. Because everyone needs an assist sometimes. And sometimes, the greatest championships are won off the court. And that brings us to the end of this incredible story about Michael Jordan and his brother Larry. A powerful reminder that true greatness is measured not by fame or fortune, but by how we lift others up. Where are you listening from today? Drop your location in the comments below. I'd love to know where our community of kindness is spreading. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring true stories that celebrate the best of humanity. Your support helps us share these important messages with even more people. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. You never know who might need to hear this message today. Someone struggling with pride, someone needing help, or someone looking for the courage to reach out to a loved one. Remember, everyone needs an assist sometimes. Until next time, keep spreading kindness.